Welcome to another episode of Mask On, Mask Off, presented by
Uh,
725. In today's episode, we got a special guest. Well, everybody's always special, but this one is a special guest because we go back. This is my boy
Hell
Ani.
yeah.
We go back to freshman year when a lot of the times I spent crashing in his dorm and just
Hell yeah. Those are the
really
lit
looked out for
times,
me.
man.
No, really. Thank you for coming, bro.
Dude, anytime, bro. I got you.
I don't want to throw my own interpretation on who you are because you do a lot of things like album covers, car design. So how would you really just describe yourself in your practice?
Man, I would say myself and my practice are I like to, group it into one thing. You know, I believe that as a creative, what you create has to come from a part of you,
Right.
And you can call it art, you can call it design, you can call it expression, poetry, rap, album covers, it all just shows it's kind of like a reflection. So I would say, you know, mainly my what makes me a designer, what makes me myself is always the ability to, I don't know, find something new. So even in the album covers that I do for musicians actually locally here in Savannah, because I'm like, you have to get the people around you moving,
Right. Right.
Yeah, you listen to the music, you're like, dude, I feel this, and then make a nice album cover for them. I always try to go with something out of my comfort zone.
No.
So yeah, I would say that's the thing that actually goes around all my work.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's just trace it way back because when we met, I remember you were always expressing yourself and drawing, like designing cars and things of
Hell
that
yeah.
nature. So like, have you always had this kind of perspective on just like creating, or have you were you like that kid that I was like, no, I want to do industrial design, and you knew that?
Oh, no, man. Like, so industrial design was actually a relatively new thing for me, right? It started out, I wanted to be a scientist.
Yeah, bro, same.
As a little kid, dude, it was the best thing ever. Like looking at these guys and like their coats and they're just doing stuff. Like they
Yeah,
mix this and that together and wham, something, it was like magic.
yeah,
Just, it was magic that you could trace back. So I would say creation has always been at the forefront of it for me, right?
yeah.
Just things like drawing, public speaking. Those are two things that I know came like readily available to me as a young kid. Like I would do. People always had stage fright. I was ready
Hmm.
100% to, in schools. We had assemblies back in Nigeria, and they would always ask for some people to come read some things, all right? And everyone just kind of went like, I don't want to do that. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, give it to me. I'll do it. And most times I go on stage and I mess up.
yeah.
Like mess up 100%, stumble on some words, say the wrong thing, totally freeze in front of everyone. But it's funny because after that, like I always want to do it again. So that's how I just knew that I liked it. Drawing, man, like I just thought it was really interesting. I mean, watching cartoons growing up and knowing that all the animated ones, which were always my favorite, someone
Yeah.
drew like everything, right? So I was just thinking, man, it's a really universal way to communicate, right? So
Hmm.
drawing, sketching, it doesn't even matter about like the cars or whatever. In fact, most industrial designers call my drawing style, they call it illustration. They don't call it design sketching.
Okay.
It was mainly just about the communication aspect. I feel like as human beings, that's one of the hardest things for us to do.
Right. Right.
Reasoning, communicating. I mean, even what we're doing right now, if we didn't speak the same language, if you didn't understand like the vibe, I could say
Right.
something as easy as, yeah, dude. I mean, I could say something like, um, I love your podcast, right?
Yeah.
And if I said I love your podcast versus I love your podcast, it's two different things, you know?
Right.
Like the way you communicate something and what it is, all that kind of stuff. It's something that makes us human. So I mean, my older sister, where she's more on the language side. She knows so many languages, like seven, I think. and that's her own way of communicating. Yes, seven. She knows my mom's language, Igbo, my dad's language, Ibibio. She knows another Nigerian language, Hausa. She knows the Pidgin, the Creole that we all speak. She knows English. She knows a little bit of Mandarin, and then she knows Arabic. Man,
So wait,
like crazy
you
stuff.
speak Creole?
Yeah, so there's this Pidgin Creole that we speak in Nigeria. It's dude, Nigeria has like 500 and something different languages. So
Jeez.
yeah, man, like it's crazy. Every single state has at least three, at least, dude. And because it borders, like in Nigeria, the lingua franca is English, the business language is English.
Yeah.
And all the countries around it, they're all colonized by French-speaking countries. So, or by, France. So even those languages bleed into ours. It's all like a mix. So basically the Pidgin kind of mix of everything came up, and that's what everyone speaks. If I meet someone at home, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? They'll look at me like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
But I'm like, how far? It's like, hey, how you doing? How far, my guy? How you day? You talk, and it's kind of what you use to show that you're part of the people back home. So yeah, she can speak that, but I was never really the language person. I learned English. I learned my mom's language, and I was just kind of like, oh yeah, that's good enough. So, a little bit of French because of school, but dude, drawing all this stuff, like drawing, and if you draw something, I mean, it can be interpreted in different ways,
Mm.
but it's something that visual communication is something that if
Right.
you have eyes, you will be able to understand what it is.
Right.
Uh,
So in Nigeria, growing up, was there where you were at? Was there a lot a community of like artists or people that were like encouraged to pursue art or things of that nature, or is it something that you were like your own?
okay, so I grew up in Port Harcourt in Rivers State, Nigeria. Um, Port Harcourt is very artsy. It's kind
Mm.
of like dang, for lack of a better comparison, it's kind of like not New York. Yeah, it's kind of like New York of Nigeria.
Okay.
It's like the business side. Kind of how LA's, about like music and all that. Just kind of like Atlanta. Like you
Yeah.
know, artistic expression. But Port Harcourt was very business oriented, and you know, oil and all that. That's Nigeria's main export. So most of I went to a boarding school, and it was a science school actually. Most of the people around, art was just it wasn't the most important thing. It was everywhere, but I feel like that's what made it kind of quote unquote unimportant. Because
Mm.
you go to the restaurants, dude, no restaurant wall was blank. It was covered with
Yeah.
art from every style. Everywhere you went, it was just there. So the school I went to was mainly focused on science and innovation, technical drawing and architecture, all that kind of fun stuff.
You said
But
architecture?
architecture, man, I took so
Wow.
many architecture classes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had to take a technical drawing and drafting. So they were fun. Those are like the classes that I killed because math was just kind of like something that you had to do to just ace it. It was never really like a passion. If
Yeah.
math is your passion, man, you have a different kind of brain.
That's
But
true.
you
That's
know,
true.
yeah, bro, you have a different kind of brain. There was actually this guy. His name was Kenneth Chukwu. He was in my class. Very, very quiet guy. But dude, this guy's fucking brilliant. Am I allowed
Mm.
to cuss on this? He's
Yeah, go
brilliant as heck.
ahead. Go ahead,
Dude,
bro.
brilliant guy. Like we're just doing math to get the grades. Man's for fun would actually like take a piece of paper and start the formulas they would teach us. He would start creating his own from that, you know.
Wow.
And all of us are just looking like, dude, who is this guy? Because he would take that stuff and he would switch it all around, create something that even the professor hadn't heard about, like the teachers. And that's what he used to solve. Sometimes they'll fail him for it because they were like, "No, we didn't teach you this." But he's like, "It worked, right?"
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, dude. And if you think about it, it was the same thing. That's the same thing creatives in our space do, right? You don't want
Yeah.
to just do something that everyone else has done. You kind of take something and you
Right.
marinate and you bring out something of yours. So that was actually the first person that I saw do that with math. And I was like, dang, bro, that's crazy. I didn't know you could do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, my school is mainly technology focused, but I gravitated more towards the art side.
And that's
And
not, and that's, and
I mean,
let's be very clear. That's not to say that you're not a good student because fun fact, fun fact, this man was 17 when he was a freshman in college. 17. Continue.
yeah, dude, hell yeah, bro. I was a good student, man, because it was mainly because of the pride. Like it was just if you're on, there's a stigma that comes with it, right? If you're an
Mm-hmm.
artsy person or if you have a more like free mind, then they tend to think that you're not grounded in reality, that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
And it's like, why is that so, why is that the case? Think of someone like uh who would I even call now? I mean, most of the great philosophers and artists of that we study now, Michelangelo and all these guys. I don't want to start naming. Our history was a long time ago, but they weren't they weren't
But
only just artists,
they were
or
Renaissance men for a
musicians.
reason. They did multiple
Yeah,
things.
dude, they did multiple things, and they came up with creations that like they were out of this world. So yeah, bro, my SATs were banging. Like it wasn't even a problem. All that kind of stuff. But it wasn't. I feel like at the end of the day, and I think this is what everyone should do, right? There's a natural inclination to what you like, and how you know what you like is what you find yourself, spending that extra like dollar on. Like
Mm.
they say, time is money. So after you've been given homework, if you just do it to do it, then there's a high chance that you shouldn't be doing it. But
Yeah.
if you do it and you think about it and you're like, dang, that sucks, I have to do it again, and then you do it again, and then you still think, oh, I should keep like moving in this, and that's most likely what you should be doing. You know, they say, people ask, oh, what do you want to do with life? But I feel like that's the wrong question. You should be asking, what kind of suffering do you want to get in life? And
Mm.
what would you like suffer for, like to reach that stage? For example, someone likes working out. 8 out of 10 of the times, it's not just the working out. It's the physical pain that makes them
Right.
be like, yeah, like I feel good when that happens. I know for me, design is my passion because, man, I can be on my computer for like till 6 a.m. in the morning, moving one line on an object,
Yeah.
literally just one line, because I know that it's not like that. But for other stuff, I'm like, yeah, it looks good, all right, I'm out.
Right.
But with design, it's like, yeah, this is what I pay that extra time dollar on,
Yeah.
put like my energy into it. I wake up in the morning and people tell me, man, you look dead, and I'm like, dude, I feel alive, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can be good at whatever. You can put your time and your effort into it, but at the end of the day, what really matters is what you want to like do, like which kind of pain makes you feel good. And that's how
Yeah.
you get to a good place.
And it's amazing you were talking about the attention to detail in the line because you know Tadi was my cousin who lives in Miami.
Tadiwa, hell yeah.
Man, he's gone like he can have something done, but like just the simple like a line not being curved the right way, he will spend
Mhm.
hours just like manipulating the line, and that that type of stuff is always inspiring. Like everybody has their own different processes. Like for me, like music, like if an ad lib or if I say a word a certain way, it doesn't come out right. I'll spend this like
Really.
6 hours, however many hours, just doing it. It's kind of frustrating, but it's fun. But like I
Yeah.
always, it's always cool to like understand and see other people's process and what they do. So what's like the rigor for you in your process, and like what is your creative process when you're designing?
Hmm. So when I'm designing, my creative process always starts with questions. I feel like I said earlier, as a creative, it stems from like your own self. I always ask questions about everything. I'm that guy, the one that professors don't like. Actually, professors like, but teachers in high school didn't like.
Same.
So they say something, yeah, dude, they say something like, yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it is. I'm like, that's not good
Mm,
enough. They're like,
right.
get out of my class, dude. But it always starts with questions. And there's this common thing that if you ask questions, that means you don't understand, and that means that you don't know, and it's not. like a good thing to do. And I don't know where that came from, but if you who are you fooling? That's what's the thing.
Right.
If you if there's a problem, it's simply just because somebody didn't ask the right questions, or somebody's questions got ignored. That's the only reason why there should be a problem. You know? So my creative process starts out with asking all the questions. I use Miro. I'm a visual person, so I ask, put on sticky notes and just get like a big mind map on anything, that my brain can touch on. So let's say, for example, I'm designing uh, something simple like a flower pot. You know,
Yeah.
I ask myself, okay, why do people even have flowers in a pot?
Mm.
Like why was that the thing that people even started with? Why flowers? Why is it flowers that people decide? Why is it the pretty ones that people bring to your house? Why don't they bring like why bring plants to your house in the first place?
Right.
Uh what kind of pots do people use? Why is it like this certain kind of shape? You do your research, you get out there, you see which ones are the most popular, you see which ones are the least popular, and then try to make like a comparison of why that is. And you move on to the next stage. You think, why didn't people just plant the plants like all over their whole house? Why did
Mm.
they decide to keep it in a certain place? Then you move away from even the pot itself and the flower to like after it, taking care of this thing. Most people, they have flowers. I mean, if you have a flower in your house, you have a flower pot, you take care of it, you water it, and you do all that kind of stuff. So why do people even want to do that? Why
Yeah.
don't they just get something that would sustain itself? And you just keep asking questions. The more you ask questions, the more you would the more areas would open, and the more you can make a change. There's something that my older sister used to do when we were cleaning up our rooms, right?
Yeah.
I was never like the tidiest person, dude. Like if my clothes were just like chilling, dude, yeah, I'll take off my clothes and like woo, this one,
Yeah.
wow, this one, woo, like everywhere. And my sister was, on the other hand, very tidy. She was very untidy, but she always like it was a problem for her. So she would, be untidy and then get everything together.
Yeah.
And there was something that anytime we had to clean our rooms, she always did this thing that I always thought was so weird. But growing up, I actually understood what she was doing. She would take everything in the room that was out of place and throw it in the middle of the room, you know?
Hmm.
And it would just look like the biggest mess on earth. Like it would just be a heap of everything in the world. And she would just take time putting everything into where she thinks it's supposed to be. And at the end of the day, anything that was remaining in the middle wasn't useful, you
Mm.
know, like it didn't have a place. And it took so much time. It was annoying because, I want to play with all of them. So I would have my room done because I would just kind of move things around so it looks good. And she would take everything, throw it in the middle, and it'd take her like 2 days to get it all done. But at the end of the day, her room always looked like pristine,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think getting that kind of mindset into design is something that I always strive for, So get everything down on the table, let it be messy, let it be there. Go through everything, see every, question or every aspect, and then arrange it into where it's supposed to be. And then after that, obviously ideation and you know, there's this thing, it's called the double diamond.
Okay.
It's a famous process for design thinking. So basically what it says is, you have your problem, and just like a diamond, so you branch out, you find everything, right? You just try to branch out and see whatever. And then from then you, you know, converge again, and you come up with a low-key solution, and then you branch out and then you converge again. So it looks like two diamonds. And I feel like that's always kind of, I feel like it's the best foundation for that. So just make sure that you do it twice. Make sure that you're always diverging to see what's up there, coming down, opening up again, and converging. And then I tried my best not to do anything alone because they say uh, research. Ask the target audience what they need. You know, or try to get data on the target audience because they say that they don't really know what they want. They don't even know the problems. But if you do it alone, or if you just do it with one team, then there's a huge chance that whatever you come up with, if it's not, diverse, if the team isn't diverse enough in their thought, in their experiences, then the solution can be very polarized. A
Yeah.
big thing, man, like designing with equity, with I mean, not only racial equity, man, but racial equity, like even different people, like thinking processes, uh, different sides. You always need to get diverse in whatever you're doing. Variety is the spice of life. You feel?
Yeah. And speaking of
Yeah.
like equity, like whenever you're designing, right? Let's say you're designing for a company, like in your field, do you have any type of ownership rights to your design, or do you have to hand that over to the company?
So it depends. For SCAD pros and stuff like that, you always sign an NDA, so you can't really talk much about it. You can't post it online, but you can talk to recruiters about it. And um, it's mainly just going to be about what you did and all that kind of stuff. But naturally in design, if you if you design for a company out of SCAD, so and out of an internship, you just like for a company, then you
Yeah.
have rights to it. It's
Nice.
all gonna be in the contract. That's the thing, man. Read the fine print.
Yeah. Facts.
Always
Facts.
read the fine print, man. Dude,
Got
that
to.
has gotten me into so much trouble, especially with leasing, man. Like here in Savannah. Uh, I don't want to call it any names, bro. But
Right.
some particular housing situations here in Savannah.
Yeah.
Uh, you you sign something, and then later they come and say they're like, oh, this is what you signed. And you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I didn't sign that. And then you check it out, oh, that is what I signed.
Yeah.
Read the fine print. It'll take you like an extra probably 20 minutes, but um download one of those like text to speech stuff and just listen through what you're signing, man. Contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts are very important. They're the written agreements or whatever. So I mean, if you sign a contract and they're like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, you're not gonna have any rights to this. If that's fine with you, you sign it. If it's not, get out. So
Right.
it all just varies.
Yeah, because I've heard some wicked stuff. Like again, like talking to people who are like UX, and like they'll design like something or they'll code something, and like once they give like work with the company, like they won't even get it like credited for it. Like they can talk about it and put in their like in their portfolio, but they don't like they don't own it. And I'm just like, man, that's crazy. Like I feel like every designer should have equity in like whatever they create. You know?
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, it's that same thing about the golden goose and the eggs, right? For me, if that kind of thing happens to me, I'll be like, dude, you can take my egg, you can take my little gold egg, but I'm the goose, man. I'm gonna have more, you know?
Yeah. True.
Yeah,
True.
dude. Like you can take it. It's fine. It's not the best thing I ever did in my life. Take it. After a while, dude, there'll be another problem. I'll do it again, and what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
So, hell yeah.
And speaking of that, I heard through the grapevine you're working on a water bottle, a sustainable
Yeah,
or something of
yeah,
that nature.
bro. Yeah. So right now we're doing um a side it's a we're consulting for jug water bottles. If you don't know them, you should get to
Oh,
know them.
what is it?
Anyone watching this podcast at the end of this, JUUG water bottles.
Okay.
Uh the CEO is a really dope guy, Kendrick. Um and the main aim is sustainability, and also just not just sustainability on like a material kind of thing. I think a lot of people when they think of sustainability, that's what they think about. But um, when you make a water bottle, what's the life cycle?
Mm,
Especially one that is targeted towards people uh, that work out a lot. Not just like an everyday water bottle.
right.
So how do people use it in the gym? you know, why do they even have water bottles in the gym? And at the end of, the life cycle of using that, first you have to make it human centered, human centered as in when someone is using this, it should feel like it's a part of them. You don't want to be holding some foreign thing in an uncomfortable way going to the gym. You know, a lot of people forget their water bottles at the gym because of like, you know, different things. And then human centered design, that's that. And then the next thing is, you know, earth-centered, nature-centered design. So at the
Mm,
end of the day, when they throw away that water bottle, because they are, you know,
right.
yeah, like it's gonna be in their possession and then it's not. What's gonna happen to it, and how can we make that, you know, cycle back into, how can we give it a second life, technically?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing a lot of research on uh either reusable plastics or, apart from the materials, we're just trying to get like a lot of insights. And maybe even start going to the gym more, man, because I have to make more
Yeah.
friends there.
Nice.
So now, yeah, dude, you get in there, and I'm like, all right, so this water bottle, like I'm using it. What happens with it? And I feel like it's such a I like working on projects like that, right? Because it's not where your mind goes to at first, you know. It's it's a water bottle, right? Like, dude, take whatever to the gym and do your workout. But the thing is, problems like that are the insidious kinds. They just kind of get into people's lives. It's like when you try on a nice shirt. Have you ever worn like a shirt and you're like, dude, this is good.
Yeah.
This fits well. Like it
Right.
feels good. Like it's breathable. It's nice. Like, man, I want to jump up and down right now. And it's the little stuff like that that actually change people's experiences. So
It's a
yeah,
fact.
dude, it's exciting. And yeah, jog water bottles, man. Get to know them. They're dope. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see what you end up creating or coming up with.
Hell
Definitely
yeah, dude.
throw one my way when it's done.
I got you.
Yeah, man. And
I
I
got you, man.
appreciate you coming through and, just chopping it up with me, bro. If there's like a final thing you could say, just any type of advice, like what would you say to the people real quick before we cut out?
Man, okay. I would say, I giving advice, I'll give advice also, it's something that I need to do, something that you need to do, something everybody needs to do.
Mm,
The only thing that's constant in life is change, you know?
right.
So if you feel like you should be changing in something, then you most likely should. You feel what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, don't be scared to get out of your comfort zone, do something different, and just make sure that whichever situation that you're in, right? Try to see how it, like, take it and contrast it with your own values, see what's up. And if it's not the right situation for you, make sure you make sure you try to, align that. Change. It's good, it's fine. And if you don't change, you're going to wish you had. The best time to do something is 20 years ago. And apart from 20 years ago, it's now.
Yeah.
So yeah, meditate also.
Hey, I've been hearing that a
Hell
lot
yeah.
lately. That's wild you said that.
Meditate, man. It's yeah, dude, meditate. Nowadays, man, stimulation is the thing, dude. You open your phone, there's 500 notifications. Everyone's constantly working, especially now that things are more virtual. It's very easy to just keep having stuff rolling in and rolling in and rolling in and rolling in, and you'll burn out. You're a human being. Technology is it's moving faster than human beings do.
Yeah.
It's evolving faster than we are. So if you don't take the time to settle down and clear the blank space, just clear it out and you know think, then do think. Use Headspace, man. Like use anything. Use Spotify, daily wellness. Use all those stuff. There's another one out there, but meditate. It's the best thing you can do for yourself, and it's a habit. It's like a muscle. Breath work, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, mindfulness is the best thing you can do. It's the best present that you can give to your future self. I'll tell you that. At first, I was not a believer. I was like, man, I don't want to sit down and do nothing. But it's not nothing. It's work. Like it's harder work than actual work. You know.
Right.
And the more you do it for yourself, it's kind of like exercise. Your mind will just feel good. Yeah.
Hey, that's perfect. Thank you again, bro.
I got you, man. I got you.